Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under, and today we're going back to the new Battle Royale mode in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and giving it a second chance, for better or for worse. Since this mode has come out, there has been a massive community backlash, a ton of people not even trying out Danger Zone because it is a Battle Royale mode. So today we're going to be doing a comprehensive breakdown, a review of sorts, talking about the good and the bad and what Valve needs to do in order to go and make this mode great. As always, I'd love to go and hear what you guys think about Danger Zone, so make sure to go and post a comment in the comments section below. But let's go and get right into it, talking about the positive features first, what Danger Zone really does well. So let's go and start out with the map itself. It is really small, and that's 100% a positive feature in my opinion. The bigger and bigger maps, they just feel way too open, and there's so much downtime that it gets quite boring. I like the frantic nature of Danger Zone, and the small map really goes and leads to that. Now with that said, the small map is really easy to memorize as well. In only 2 to 3 games, you can go and get a very good idea of where everything is, and you don't need to go and use the tablet in order to go from point of interest to point of interest. The map itself is also really detailed and it holds up quite well in terms of the graphics department. Yes, the source engine is quite a few years old, but in terms of the performance, it is really good, and I prefer frames over graphics. Given that this game is now free to play, you have to go and consider that a lot of people joining this game have really bad computers. So if you go and make your Battle Royale mode really easy to run, quite small, but still quite detailed, overall you're striking a really good balance, so double thumbs up to Valve on this point. As a result of this quite small map, the matches are really fast, lasting less than 10 minutes, and that's really perfect for me personally, and I know a lot of other people don't want the time commitment of playing a 15 to 20 to 25 minute game. If you just want a quick, small match, Danger Zone is for you. I really like that you can go and choose where you can spawn. It guarantees a somewhat even distribution of players, because a lot of the time, people don't want to be double spawning on a small shack. But when you go to more of the bigger towns, it guarantees that people are going to be in the corners of that town, and so they can have a bit of time to loot up before they start fighting. When you go and rappel down, you can see your enemies rappelling down as well, so it's a bit suspenseful. Who's going to go and get that gun first? Who's going to go and rush who? It's tense from the start, and that's really great. Moving on to the tablet idea, it is absolutely fantastic. Being able to go and see the general area of where your enemies are goes and ups the pace a little bit, but it isn't unfair because the general position of your enemy isn't pinpointed. The whole, if a hexagon is yellow, it means you or an enemy is inside it, is genius as well, because you can never really be sure if you're actually alone in this zone. There could always be someone sneaking behind you. Buying weapons and gear with a tablet is great. It incentivizes you to go out and kill enemies, in comparison to PUBG and Fortnite, where you can just loot and camp to the end, and that is absolutely fine in that game, but it doesn't work in Danger Zone. You really need to go and take the upper hand in order to go and buy the good weapons with cash, but also you need to go and get enough cash to be kitted out so you can go and contest the airdrops so you can get even better weapons. So if you just camp the whole game, you're just going to be sitting around with a pistol at the final 1v1, and guess who's going to go and win? Generally the person with the AUG or the AK or whatever. Furthermore, whenever you go and buy something, the drone that comes down, it's fantastic because it makes a lot of noise. It turns the whole buying something into a little bit of risk and reward with some baiting on the side, because the drone goes towards a tablet and you can go and drop your tablet. So that means you can just go and leave it somewhere, run around, bait somebody, and as soon as the gear goes and drops, you can shoot them in the back. It is really cool. Now moving on to the zone itself, it's not a simple circle. It's a living, breathing, dynamic barrier that is unpredictable, and it goes and adds an extra element to the gameplay that a lot of other Battle Royale games don't have. Now, besides the whole killing other enemies and all that, there are missions on the side, and those are great as well. Rescuing hostages, blowing up safes, killing important targets, they all contain an element of risk, but they all give a payout. Now currently this payout is $500 I believe, and I think it should be increased, at least for the rescuing hostages one, because your drag down, your movement speed is reduced, you have to go quite a long way, and you don't get much money. $500 is not a lot. Like if it was $1,500, $2,000, that would make a really big difference. That would probably be a bit too much, but you can see what I mean. Moving towards a gunplay, it's Counter-Strike Global Offensive through and through, and nothing has been changed. This works because only pistols and SMGs are available early, so you gotta go and get close. So even though there's these long ranges, you have to go and get close, so the whole hit scan thing works. But as the game goes on, assault rifles and other special weapons become available, and that goes and branches out the gameplay. But because the zone is quite a bit smaller, you're only using these in medium range, so the whole hit scan model again works quite well. So Valve has got this down to a science because they didn't have to go and change the Counter-Strike Global Offensive movement or combat in order for Battle Royale to work, and I really do appreciate that, along with letting every weapon have a little bit of space in this mode. The one thing that they did change is the extra 20 health, so you have 120 health, and it works really, really well. It's just a little bit more, and it's perfect because you don't get insta-killed a lot of the time. The time to kill is still basically the same as base Counter-Strike, you might need a bullet or two extra, but because of the limited ammo, fights drag out a little bit longer and you have to be a bit more tactical, and that's perfect for a Battle Royale. Getting insta-gived out of nowhere is quite frustrating. These more long drawn out fights really go and up the suspense level, and that's absolutely fantastic. Valve's got that really, really well. Now, it did seem like I was sucking the schlong of Valve just a little bit too much there, but that was the positive section. Now we're moving on to the bad, and I have a few really big gripes with this game, so much that it's kind of holding me back from playing Danger Zone more than I'd actually like to. The first one is the weapon drops, because they are so damn inconsistent. Finding just a pistol in the early game is very tedious. Yes, the map is spaced out quite well, but a lot of the time when as soon as people find a gun, they will just go and rush you, and if your house doesn't go and have a weapon and you don't go and get enough cash, people can just shoot you and you've got your bare fist. It is kind of unfortunate, and especially in conjunction with some of the queue timing issues we'll talk about later, the whole die and then queue up again, it's just really frustrating. At the very least, I think you should spawn with maybe a Glock with 5 or so bullets, or just something that you can go and defend yourself with. Even though you might be just tapping a few shots, it goes and maybe incentivizes, okay, you can go a bit more on the aggressive, but also if you do that, you're putting yourself at risk because you haven't gone and kitted yourself out. Having just your bare fist, it is quite demoralizing. Now, when we go to the early and late game, it feels really good. There's enough space and time to loot up early, and that translates well if you make it to the end, but the mid game is pretty boring. There is the incentive to kill that I talked about it before, but the zone itself comes in far too slowly, so people just camping on the edges quite a lot and edging themselves in. Now, yes, that will go and lead to the demise later on, but it just goes and slows down the gameplay quite a bit. I feel like that the rate that the zone comes in needs to be increased just a little bit. They're going to force more fighting in a smaller area. At this point, it feels a bit PUBG-like, with a really big area with not so many people. One thing that everybody hates right now is the whole getting ammo out of an ammo box. One bullet at a time is so boring. I like the idea of having a low amount of ammo on your character because it makes the game feel really tense. You've got to go and aim your shots perfectly. But so many small things are tedious, and this is one of them. The period of waiting for a drone to drop a weapon or ammo box is painful, and it should be that if you look up at a drone that's above you, you can just go and press the use key and it will automatically drop, instead of like a 1 to 2 second delay of just nothingness where you can go and get shot. It is really frustrating when the drone just doesn't want to go and drop your gear. Ammo in general is quite scarce as well, and that is by design. I like this type of dynamic, but I feel like a bit more ammo is needed in general. Of course, you can go and order in an ammo box, but the waiting period for the drone along with the 1x1 bullet extraction is just way too long and tedious. In terms of the movement, it's exactly like normal Counter-Strike, but the lack of a vault or a sprint feature does make the game feel a tad slow, especially when you're trying to go and catch up to someone. It feels like the whole Benny Hill do when you're just trying to go and stalk someone, when you would rather just go and sprint up to them and then shoot them when it gets into close range. Now, I'm not suggesting that a sprint or a vault or whatever function be implemented, because that would go and be a lot of effort, and I would rather Valve put effort into the main game of Counter-Strike, but there needs to be something done, maybe just a little bit, maybe up the knife movement speed a little bit in comparison to the weapon one, just so it's a bit more rewarding to go and chase someone. Now, by far the biggest issue with the game mode is not even really with the game mode, it's the waiting period. It's so boring to do nothing for so damn long. First, finding a match takes at least a minute or two. Then you have to accept, then wait for everyone to connect, then choose where to drop. It just takes far too long. Firstly, the accepting part needs to be removed. It's a casual mode, not competitive. Who cares that people go and drop out? The warm-up timer needs to be cut down as well. Who cares if 14 people start instead of 16? It really doesn't matter. The whole point of this mode, it's supposed to be quick and fun, so if you die early, you can go and hop into another match, but because of the queue times, people are playing really safe, especially in solos, and this is really boring, especially for me. This is a fast pace, supposed to be a fast pace, small map. You're supposed to be running around, you know, really trying to go and get into the action, but people just sitting around in corners the whole game because they don't want to go and queue up for another 5 minutes. I get their point, but Valve really needs to go and fix, because this is the most fundamental issue about Danger Zone, and the funny enough thing is, it doesn't even relate to the mode itself. Overall, Danger Zone, Battle Royale, whatever you want to go and call it, it is well thought out. It just needs some tweaks in order to go and make it great. The premise and execution is solid, but the quality of life issues like queue times make it painful to go and play this mode for long periods of time. I also really appreciate how much effort Valve put into this. It's not a quick slapdap job like Warface did with their Battle Royale mode, which is especially bad. I've got a few links in the description below if you want to go and see my rant on that mode. But this is a true Battle Royale mode for Counter-Strike. Valve put a lot of time and it worked out quite well. At this point, I would love to go and play a bit more of Danger Zone from time to time, but maybe after the next patch. I feel like this mode would be better played as a group, but generally I play Battle Royale games solo, so I can't go and comment on it. I haven't played duos or trios yet. Now, with all of that praise, when you go and play this and then you compare it to the normal 5v5 bomb defusal, you just know that the classic CS mode is going to go and win every single time. Personally, I would rather Valve just tweak up this mode a little bit and then leave it, so they can go and move onto more pressing issues like 128 tick servers and so on. It feels like Danger Zone is just a little bit wasted on Counter-Strike in a way, since we're so spoiled for choice of what we can go and play that, okay, Danger Zone is good, but this is better, so we're going to go and play the better one. Also, before I wrap this video up, am I the only one who thinks that Danger Zone is a more esports ready Battle Royale mode than Fortnite and PUBG? RNG has a very minimal effect on the gameplay, there are no BS mechanics, it just seems fair, tense, and fun. If you go and have a look at the whole Infinity sort of thing with Fortnite, it just completely ruined the whole competitive scene, especially in a very big tournament that just happened today as of recording this video. And then you go and have a look at PUBG. PUBG is Omega level. That game is complete dumpster fire. And I don't know why people still playing it when titles like Ring of Elysium are out. But regardless, esports scene and that, I haven't heard a thing because it's very much RNG based. This is, if you go and get a little bit of cash, which is quite easy to do, you can go and call in your weapons and then you can go and contest the airdrops and so on and so on. So it's quite fair because you can kind of always have a gun. It's just very much in the early game where you're just left a little bit defenseless, and if you get some really bad luck, you won't have a pistol or whatever. But still, overall, the RNG is very much subdued in comparison to a lot of other titles out there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to go and tell me what you think in the comment section below. But other than that, it's Undercover Dudes all the way from down under, out.